In a hidden corner of the Michigan Historical Museum, a collection of puzzling relics defies conventional history. These artifacts, etched with Egyptian hieroglyphics, Greek letters, and ancient cuneiform, hint at an ancient civilization that may have thrived in North America long before European contact. Discovered across Michigan's Great Lakes region, thousands of these relics, now known as the Michigan Relics, stirred debate and fascination alike. Could they be genuine remnants of a lost chapter in history, or are they an elaborate hoax? After nearly a century of obscurity, the relics have resurfaced, reigniting interest and controversy. Dismissed by some experts as frauds, yet passionately studied by others, these artifacts represent one of the most captivating archaeological mysteries in the United States. This video unravels the complex and controversial history of the Michigan Relics, exploring the question that has baffled archaeologists for over a century. The Michigan Relics began with a curious find in the late 19th century. While digging fence posts, James Scotford unearthed a strange clay cup, sparking excitement and curiosity in his Michigan community. Encouraged by his discovery, locals started excavating nearby mound formations, uncovering various copper and slate artifacts. Sensing an opportunity, authorities joined in, hoping to sell these mysterious objects to the Smithsonian Institution. Before making any deals, however, they consulted a professor from Lake Forest College, who declared the artifacts as poor forgeries. With that verdict, the initial archaeological effort dissolved, and most expected the story to end. Yet, Scotford didn't stop. For years, he continued to discover artifacts, even after relocating to Detroit. He became a painter of science, and eventually teamed up with Daniel E. Soper, a former state official with a flair for promotion. Together, they showcased the Michigan Relics, drawing interest from those intrigued by artifacts featuring scenes from the Bible. Among the fascinated was Reverend James Savage, who believed these pieces held secrets to an ancient Judeo-Christian civilization in Michigan and sought to preserve them. The Michigan Relics quickly captured the imagination of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For Mormons, the artifacts held a special allure, copper plates etched with symbols that seemed to echo their scriptures. The Book of Mormon describes ancient American civilizations and sacred golden plates bearing divine messages, and here, in the soil of Michigan, were relics that seemed to support these beliefs. With their engraved biblical imagery and mysterious symbols, the Michigan Relics struck a deep chord, appearing to affirm the ideas of ancient American civilizations carrying spiritual messages. But while the discovery of the Michigan Relics promised insight into biblical mysteries, they raised more questions than they answered. The artifacts were covered in cryptic symbols, including the puzzling mystic symbol, a set of scratches reminiscent of the Christian IHS, but with an unknown meaning. Scholars found themselves at a loss, as the heavy slate tablets covered in strange markings seemed unrelated to any known language. Bishop Rudolf Essenhauser, a Mormon enthusiast, was particularly captivated. He even joined Daniel Soper on a dig and published a pamphlet with photos and details of the relics, hoping someone might finally decipher the mysterious script. The pamphlet included a portrait of Soper, commemorating his dedication to uncovering these ancient artifacts. In each new town, Soper and Scotford would involve local figures like the sheriff or minister in their digs, lending credibility to their finds. At the dig sites, Scotford would theatrically unearth the artifacts, with respected community members signing affidavits to vouch for their authenticity. However, William A. Benscotter, a Detroit reporter, grew suspicious. His investigation revealed that Scotford's sons, Percy and Charles, along with his son-in-law, William Scobie, were actually helping fabricate the relics. The sons boasted to a neighbor, Granny Robeson, about their ancient relic factory, and she reported hearing hammering from their room. Years later, Scotford's daughter confirmed the family's involvement in the artifact's creation, stating she kept silent during her mother's lifetime. This deposition, hidden for decades, finally surfaced, revealing the true story well into the 20th century. In the early 20th century, as archaeology was still emerging as a science, alarm grew among scholars over the Michigan Relics. In 1911, a committee of professors published findings in the American Antiquarian, exposing the artifacts as frauds. That same year, renowned anthropologist Frederick Starr publicly denounced the relics in a Detroit News article. Despite this, Daniel Soper continued to discover artifacts with James Scotford until 1920, leaving a trail of thousands of relics across Michigan. When Soper retired to Tennessee, he took on the title Colonel, continuing to share his tales until his death in 1922. Father Savage, another major collector, passed away in 1927, and his artifacts were stored at Notre Dame University. In the late 1950s, Mormon leader Milton Hunter requested the collection, which was sent to him and combined with Soper's artifacts. Hunter studied this collection, now known as the Soper-Savage Collection, until his death in 1975. It was later transferred to Brigham Young University, where it would remain largely unexamined for another 2 decades. The Michigan Relics, a collection of artifacts allegedly discovered in Michigan during the early 20th century, sparked one of the most intriguing archaeological controversies in North America. These relics, which appeared to depict non-Native American symbols and languages, challenged the established belief of the time that pre-Columbian North America was culturally isolated from other continents. This view, known as the isolationist theory, argued that oceans served as barriers, preventing any significant contact between the Americas and the rest of the ancient world. Yet, the discovery of the Michigan relics seemed to question this narrative. In contrast to the isolationist perspective, some scholars advocate the diffusionist theory. According to this view, ancient humans were far more mobile, traveling along waterways and sharing cultural practices across continents. Diffusionists argue that Michigan's ancient copper deposits, particularly in the Upper Peninsula, could have attracted seafaring peoples from the Mediterranean over 2,000 years ago, when water levels were higher, potentially allowing access to the Great Lakes. The Michigan relics provided compelling evidence for this theory, presenting what some believe to be artifacts from non-native cultures that reached North America in ancient times. In the 1950s, the Michigan relics resurfaced when researcher Henriette Mertz took interest in them. Mertz, a former World War II cryptographer, brought a unique analytical perspective to the artifacts. Intrigued by the idea that these relics could represent an ancient Christian sect, possibly the Copts, who used Greek as a primary language, she dedicated 25 years to studying the relics. Her book, The Mystic Symbol, argued that an early Christian group may have reached Michigan in the 3rd or 4th century CE, sparking renewed curiosity and debate about these mysterious artifacts. Not everyone accepted the validity of these artifacts, however. Many mainstream archaeologists considered the relics a hoax, pointing to the often inconsistent symbols and languages carved on them. Yet, diffusionist scholars persisted, encouraged by publications like Ancient American Magazine, which supported alternative theories about North America's pre-Columbian history. Wayne May, the magazine's publisher, believed that while some artifacts in the Soper-Savage collection were likely fraudulent, others could contain clues to the continent's hidden past. Further fueling this theory was Glade Bergen's 1972 doctoral thesis, where he identified correlations among symbols on different artifacts. Though his work didn't provide a Rosetta Stone for decoding the relics, it was a promising step towards deciphering the language behind these mysterious items. Another important figure in the study of these relics was David Allen Deal, a self-taught Paleo-Hebrew scholar who undertook a detailed analysis of the symbols and languages on the artifacts. Deal's work provided 3 major findings. He deciphered a significant portion of the language, identified a theological framework, and even proposed a historical date for the relic's creation. One of Deal's most captivating discoveries involved the mystic symbol, previously thought to represent the Christian letters IHS. Deal interpreted it as the Hebrew letters YHW, symbolizing the name of Yahweh. His analysis extended to a clay tablet inscribed with Paleo-Hebrew, as well as a slate tablet from Roland Township. By examining the celestial imagery depicted on the slate, Deal pinpointed the date to July 27, 352 AD, which coincides with the Delta Aquarid meteor shower. This finding reinforced his theory of the relic's ancient origins and their potential ties to a Mediterranean or Middle Eastern culture. As interest in the relics grew, Brigham Young University, which had acquired part of the Soper Savage collection, faced requests to investigate the artifacts. Accusations resurfaced, suggesting that the university was concealing information. To address these concerns, the editor of BYU Studies enlisted Dr. Richard Stamps, an archaeologist from Michigan, to assess the authenticity of the relics. After reviewing the artifacts, Dr. Stamps published his findings, which cast serious doubt on the relic's authenticity. He noted tool marks that didn't align with known prehistoric techniques, concluding that the artifacts were most likely forgeries created by James Scotford and planted with the help of Daniel Soper. Unfortunately, Father Savage, who had sincerely believed in their authenticity, was deceived into amassing a significant collection. The hoax, it seemed, was financially motivated, benefiting Scotford at the expense of those who trusted the relic's authenticity. The Michigan Relics have long held a haunting allure, inviting us to question whether they are authentic pieces of history or clever deceptions. These artifacts, unearthed by Daniel Scotford and James Soper in the late 19th century, claim to tell stories of ancient civilizations and sacred symbols, creating an enigma that has persisted for over a century. Were Scotford and Soper preserving genuine relics of a lost civilization, or were they skillfully constructed one of the more elaborate hoaxes in North American archaeology? To probe these questions, scientists turn to modern technology, particularly thermoluminescence dating, a technique capable of determining the age of ceramic objects. Dr. Carl Lipo at the University of Southern California, Long Beach, conducted a thermoluminescence test on a fragment of one such artifact. The result was telling. It pointed to the late 1890s, aligning with the time Scotford and Soper were actively involved, seemingly confirming that the artifacts were modern forgeries. Yet, uncertainties linger. Not all of Michigan's relics bear Scotford and Soper's fingerprints. In the early 20th century, Professor Edwin Worth exhibited these artifacts, first in Detroit and later in Indiana. Did Worth acquire them directly from Scotford, or did he uncover them independently? Unfortunately, no records survive to clarify their origins. Another intriguing layer comes from the Eisenhower pamphlet, which introduces discoveries reportedly made as far back as 1856. Signed affidavits from unrelated individuals appear to validate these earlier finds. Meanwhile, another artifact, the Monhegan Stone, bearing mysterious symbols at the St. Lawrence River's mouth, suggests ancient travelers might have arrived in North America via this route. Such theories hint at a tantalizing narrative. An ancient civilization once reached Michigan, leaving traces in both artifact and story. Wayne May, an investigator of ancient North American mysteries, shared a fascinating perspective on a symbol known as the mystic symbol, which appears on many of the Michigan relics. According to May, the Ojibwa people referred to this symbol as Yod-Heh-Vah, a name astonishingly similar to the Hebrew word for God, Yahweh. This linguistic resemblance raises provocative questions. Could these artifacts, forged or otherwise, echo ancient connections between Near Eastern cultures and Native American symbolism? The cuneiform-like script on the Michigan relics, analyzed by researcher David Deal, adds further mystery. Did Deal decipher a genuine language, or did he simply untangle an intricate forgery? Could Scotford and Soper have invented this language, borrowing it from genuine sources or crafting it from their imaginations? While many artifacts from the Soper Savage and Mertz Deal collections are acknowledged as fakes, a question lingers. Might there be a piece of truth hidden within these elaborate deceptions? The saga of the Michigan Relics speaks to this human tendency to cling to fascinating narratives, regardless of their factual basis. These artifacts, whether or not they hold genuine historical significance, serve as timeless reminders of the power of storytelling and the importance of critical thinking in distinguishing truth from fiction. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment, and turn on post notifications to stay updated with our latest content, and we'll see you in the next one.